Time now for the markets with Leighton. And Leighton, you say traders are still digesting Tuesday's crop report?
Including our own John Michael Riley, and he will join me in just a moment with some analysis for you. Also in the headlines this week, U.S. lumber exports rise sharply. Imports of foreign catfish slowly drop, while pressure may build on U.S. cattle prices. In its Tuesday, August 12th report, the USDA forecasts record yields for U.S. corn and soybeans. The August numbers are always significant because they are the first estimates of the season based on an actual producer survey. Extension Ag economist John Michael Riley has been reviewing the data, and he shared some analysis with me late Thursday morning. Well, John Michael, starting on the corn side, were these numbers as bad as the corn traders had anticipated?
Well, if you look at the market reaction, as soon as the report came out, it was. Trade was looking for a yield number of about 170. USDA put their August projection at 167.5, so lower than what was really expected, even outside the low end of the range. And I think that's why you did see such a reaction once the report hit at 11 a.m. Central. A huge jump up in the market. It slowly, settled out a little bit. But yes, the report for corn was really the really eye-opener.
Now, the forecasted yield, if it turns out to be true, that would be a new record.
That would be a new record. But again, I think everybody is still expecting this number to move higher. If you look at conditions throughout the growing season, if you look at the size of the crop, I really think that the yield should grow if these conditions continue.
And of course, ending stocks are only going to grow. Could get even bigger than forecast.
It very well could. We know we're in a tight supply crunch on the livestock side, so that's reducing the amount of corn that's going to be used for feed. You look at driving conditions. People are just driving less, so there's less corn being used for ethanol. So it is expected that we're gonna grow the carryover as the crop grows.
Now, here in Mississippi and moving over to soybeans, we could see a record number as far as soybeans in Mississippi?
That's right, projected at 48 bushels an acre, which would break the record if we see that come to fruition. Similarly with corn, 176, which is going to break last year's record. So overall, the conditions in the state look really good. In fact, there's only three crops that are expected to see a fall from last year's yields across the state, across all crops.
Now, as far as soybeans, did the price reaction come as dramatic as corn? Refresh our memory on the price reaction.
It did. It did see a little bit of coattail coming off the report and moved higher, but eventually once it was digested and we saw that the soybean carryover is going to almost or more than double from last year, it came down and has continued to have some pressure on it since the report came out.
And soybean exports, did that change much?
No, the only change was the production and yield number. Everything else was pretty much the same.
The 2014 U.S. cotton crop, as you heard a bit earlier, was revised upward by 1 million bales from July in the new USDA report. The new projection is 17.5 million bales with a yield of 820 pounds per acre. Analyst Don Shirley, reporting on agfacts.com, says yields in much of the Mid-South look to be over 2 bales per acre. The bigger crop is offset somewhat by a 500,000 bale increase in expected U.S. cotton exports for 2014 and 15. U.S. ending stocks are expected to rise 3 million bales from last season. Shirley says prices likely have a rough road ahead. Well, switching now to forest products, new data shows that U.S. lumber exports are on the rise. The Southern Forest Products Association says softwood lumber exports have reached their highest level in 16 years. Meanwhile, exports of U.S. pressure-treated lumber reached an all-time sales record of $79 million in 2013. Let's break from the markets to look at the trivia quiz now. Here's the quiz question. How long has it been since a boll weevil was caught in Mississippi? Is the answer 2008, 2010, 2012, or 2014? I'll tell you at the end of the markets. The latest catfish processing report shows a slight dip in pond bank prices between June and July. It also shows a 51% decrease in the amount of imported catfish entering the United States compared to a year ago. Let's look now at some of the numbers. U.S. producers received a pond bank price of $1.21 per pound for premium size live fish during the month of July. Farm sales totaled 24.5 million pounds round weight in July, a decrease of 13% from a year ago. Processor sales, meanwhile, amounted to 11.2 million pounds, a drop of 17% from July 2013. Analysts think Russia's recent embargo on U.S. food products, as well as the stock market's recent activity, are generating some of the pressure now being seen on cattle prices. Analyst Mark Gold says there is a need to protect the downside in the beef sector at this point.
I think as we get more protein available to our market, whether it's pork or poultry, that's going to put a little bit of a pressure on the cattle prices out there. We're starting to see, I think, some of the end retailers shifting some of their practices to make the beef price a little more palatable. I don't know if that's going to stick well with the American consumer. But the other thing beside this Russian deal that's affecting beef prices, in my opinion, is the stock market. You know, I think it was 2 months ago we had a break of about $13 in the cattle market. Came right back. The feeders made new highs, fats didn't. But the fact of the matter is I think it's going to be a little bit tougher with this Russian news, with the stock market down, for the cattle to be able to come back. At any rate, we're content spending some money on puts, protecting that downside.
Before our feature story, let's check out the trivia answer for this week. And the correct choice is A. 2008 was the last year a boll weevil was caught in the state, according to Director Farrell Boyd of the Boll Weevil Management Corporation.